Kyle Shanahan and I officially just became best friends. Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Grant Cohn. I'm in my Airbnb in West Palm Beach, Florida. Owners meeting's essentially done. Kyle Shanahan spoke this morning. So did Jed York. And there was a big cocktail party last night, which Kyle Shanahan went to, and I went to, and Jed York went to, and everyone was there. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. I'll be taking your calls. If you want to call in, the link is in the description. The link is in the chat box. Just click it and you'll be on the show. Until then, talk to you a little bit about what I've gathered and gleaned here at the owners' meetings. First, I think the big topic with the Niners is Brock Purdy. They haven't made a big signing. The most interesting addition they made was Mac Jones. So the question really is, like, why aren't you spending? And the Niners keep saying, well, we're going to spend on Brock. So hold your horses. But the question is, how much is Brock really worth? And I think after coming to this event, it's clear that the player that he's going to be measured against is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was the first pick in the draft. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. Trevor Lawrence is getting $55 million a year. And I think Brock Purdy or his agent feel that Purdy's better than Trevor Lawrence. Purdy should get more money than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor's getting 55. Purdy should get at least 56. And maybe there's some truth to that. But I think with Brock and Trevor, all we know is that Brock on the 49ers is better than Trevor on the Jaguars. And we heard Jed York say today, like, yes, Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback when he's combined with Kyle Shanahan and the weapons and resources the 49ers provide. Would Trevor Lawrence be a top 10 quarterback in the same situation? We don't know. But if both Brock and Trevor were free agents today, who would get more money on the open market? I think it's clearly Trevor Lawrence. And maybe that's unfair. Maybe that's still based on perceived upside or whatever, but that's the market. If we're talking about what is the market, then on the open market, the free agent market, Brock isn't worth as much as Trevor Lawrence. Brock still has question marks. He's had injury issues. He's had an elbow surgery, and he's played for Kyle Shanahan. I think that's a big one. We saw another quarterback win a lot of games, go deep in the playoffs, put up good numbers under Kyle Shanahan, and then go to another team, flop. Now he's a backup quarterback. I think that would be in any team's mind offering Brock a deal. Like, are we getting you? And are we getting the version of you've been under Kyle Shanahan, or are we getting a whole different version of you that we haven't seen yet? So that's why Brock Purdy's value isn't as high as maybe his agent thinks it is. And if he's going to make the argument that my quarterback's better than Trevor Lawrence, I mean, doesn't mean he's worth more than Trevor Lawrence. So that's one right there. Two, Kyle Shanahan's press conference today said something very interesting during the press conference. He said, well, he was asked, have you lowered your expectations for this season? And he was like, no. I mean, last year, I think all those expectations were bad, essentially, for the team. Like, all they were focused on was getting back to the Super Bowl and fast forwarding through the offseason and getting back to that one spot where they were in overtime. I think their mind was going, well, we'll just get back there like we always do, instead of trusting the process and just taking one day at a time and getting the most out of each day. I mean, training camp was a joke. So he said he's actually, I'll get the direct quote. He says, I want to get to work more now than probably I have in a long time. Felt like a very honest thing to say. And I feel like some of us have noticed that Kyle sort of looked burnt out last year. He looks so much older than when he got hired here 9 years ago. He looks 20 years older than he did 9 years ago. And last year was clearly just miserable for everyone. But today, last night at the cocktail party, Kyle just seems confident and on it, locked in. Today, there was no defensiveness when answering questions. There was no fumfering. There weren't the ums and the uhs. He seemed like he really knew what he was saying, and it felt like what he's saying is he's under a little heat. He just went 6-11. That's the way it goes. And I think he likes it because he's very confident in himself. And he feels like he finally has something to prove for the first time in a few years, and he's going to prove it like he always has in his professional career. So I think that's a good thing. Now, it doesn't mean that the Niners are going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. I still would not expect that unless they have the all-time best draft in franchise history. Because in 2019, yeah, he was under a little bit of pressure. If you miss the playoffs 3 years in a row, there's no guarantee you get a fourth year as a head coach. So he had to produce, and he did, but he also had a great defense. I mean, forget the offense. He had a great defense. Nick Bosa plus DeForest Buckner plus Eric Armstead plus D Ford plus Fred plus Dre Greenlaw, Jimmy Ward. I mean, just a completely stacked deck on defense. Richard Sherman. They don't have that this time. Now it's Yetur Gross-Matos, Evan Anderson, Jordan Elliott, D. Winters, Jair Brown. Not exactly a loaded defense, but at least a focused and determined and serious Kyle Shanahan, which is clearly the best version of Kyle Shanahan. So that's something good. And then I got one more thing, and then I'll take calls. I got Tyler waiting, TN 49er waiting. The cocktail party was really interesting last night. Kyle Shanahan went, and I didn't know. So I saw him talking to some reporter, and there's open bar. So I went to the bar and I was like, give me 2 shots of Don Julio. So I took the 2 shots over to Kyle. I was like, come on, Kyle. Come on, me and you, let's have a shot. And he was like, you're trying to get me in trouble. Trying to get me in trouble, man. I thought it was funny because it seemed like he was definitely trying to be on his most professional behavior. So he didn't have the shot with me. He told me I had to drink both of them and I needed to get as drunk as possible so I wouldn't grill him in the morning. Of course, I obliged. But what's interesting about it is, like, I've never seen Kyle Shanahan in a non-work environment. It's always he's there, I have a camera or a microphone, and I'm asking him a question, and he's on the record and has to answer in a professional way. That's a very specific interaction, and this is so different. Seeing someone, I met his wife. She could have told me off. She knows exactly who I am and how hard I've tried to get her husband fired. And she was nice, and I asked them about how they met, and I asked Kyle, is she your ride or die? And he said, oh, yeah. And they've known each other since they were teenagers. So anyway, it's not that I'm friends with Kyle now. It's just that it's interesting when you see someone that you only have that work relationship with, interaction with, outside of work. All of a sudden, it's like much more humanizing. I know your wife. I know she watches my content. I know she reads. I know she can't stand it. And now, like, I can't help but think of her if I were to say something, personal about Kyle. And I can't help but think of him either, because now I actually know that he's a pretty chill guy. I mean, he could have been being like, hey, Grant, fuck you. But he didn't, because I might have done that. And it's like, fine. But he was like very above it and unbothered. And anyway, talked to him, talked to Jed York forever. Jed York is a very generous guy in these settings. He really does want to connect. So that was nice. And I talked to Mike McDaniel, just a bunch of coaches. It was really cool. I highly recommend becoming a sports writer and going to this, because it's just, it's a lot of fun. Okay, let's take some calls. Tyler, what's going on?
I'm great, Grant. I'm trying to think of, I've been thinking, where is the direction of this team going?
Seems like it's going to be a very similar year as last year, unless Christian McCaffrey's a great player and a bunch of rookies are incredible.
So, so Cal's on the hot seat, right? So, if I'm a very optimistic person, but if worst case scenario does happen and we do not go to the playoffs again this year, is Kyle fired?
It's possible. It's possible. I wouldn't put it past the Yorks. I mean, Jed did say that Kyle and John are the best head coach, general manager combo in the league, but if they have another losing season, maybe they would feel differently. I do think there's a lot of pressure, even though they lost a lot of players. I don't think the Niners can use that as an excuse.
Because I was listening to Jason and Steph Sanchez, their podcast, and something really caught my attention. How Kyle was trying to justify the fact that we drafted uh, Jake Moody in the third round and saying, "Oh, we didn't have anyone else on our draft board that we were trying to find for as a someone to draft in the third round." I'm like, so you didn't do your homework?
Well, I think what he was saying is that the team was so good 2 years ago that, they didn't have a first or second round pick that year. Where they were drafting, they couldn't find day one starters. The only day one starter they could find was a kicker. And now, since they've just lost 9 starters, they're in a different position, and they're going to be expecting rookies to start right away and contribute, make an impact, which makes sense. What else are they going to do? Start Jordan Elliott?
Well, because you want to draft offensive linemen or defensive linemen, the positions that you guys haven't been drafting. We kept saying this over and over again, but you didn't do it. So why work on your weaknesses and actually why invest in something that you haven't been investing in? That's my point, Grant, is
Well, we'll see what they do. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. I mean, I don't know if we got that many answers about what they're going to do in the draft, but clearly they're going to be filling needs in the draft. They left so many needs untouched in free agency. They have to take them in the draft, and that means they probably won't be taking best player available all the time. They'll be drafting for need. Maybe they'll trade up, trade down. We'll see what they do. Tyler, thanks for calling in.
you have a great day.
Take care. You too. Angel, not you yet. TN 49er, what's up?
GC, what it be?
What it do?
I ain't trying to big time it, man. The sun is just out real bad here. That cocktail party is gonna be how your sit down interview with Kyle Shanahan starts in like 5 years or 10 years when he's done playing. Done coaching football. He's gonna be like, yeah, man. I used to think you was an asshole. Till the day you walked up to me at the cocktail party, like, oh, that guy ain't that bad after all. But I'll say this year is going to be the first year in a very long time they have to act like a real football team. They really have to take the draft seriously. They can't rely on, we've got this guy who's an all-pro, this guy who's an all-pro, this guy who's an all-pro. So we got to study. I mean, we got some guy that can throw the ball to all these all-pros, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, this year you got it. So this draft, this is going to prove if John and Kyle are really what they say they are in terms of an actual good GM and head coach combination. They won't be able to hide behind, we got Debo, we got McCaffrey. You can't hide behind McCaffrey because you really don't know what you got there. The only real constant that you can say you really have is Kittle, but I'm starting to realize the years George has the best stats are, unfortunately, the years we don't really win a lot. The last time he put up those career numbers, Nick Mullins, how'd that year turn out? Then last year he showed up, had a pretty good year, but we sucked. Well, and you could arguably say the year before that, when we were at the Super Bowl year, he had a very good year, but he still started to taper off, and we went back to, we got to make him a reserve right tackle because old McKivitz ain't getting it done. So I think this may be a good thing, but as far as Kyle leaving and being on the hot seat, Jed talk all that stuff, it ain't happening because right now there's really nothing else he can do. He's locked into that guy. Aren't we still paying hell, we might still be paying Harbaugh.
What I don't understand is how the Niners really expect to contend in this sense. They had a good offense last year. Statistically, it was a pretty good offense in terms of advanced metrics. McCaffrey should come back. And they added a good blocking tight end on a 3-year deal, a good backup, Man, like their biggest additions were on offense this offseason. An upgraded blocking tight end, an upgraded backup quarterback, and an upgrade at backup wide receiver. Like those guys will be better than what they had last year. On defense, this is a defense that ranked 29th. It was putrid against the run, and it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. So how many picks are they going to spend on defense? Are all the early picks going to be on defense? I mean, they brought back Salah, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, they solved that issue. Like, no. What is he supposed to do with that freaking defensive line?
That's I'm telling you, is really going to be dependent upon him to basically be what people think Kyle is. And we're going to give you lesser than talent. Scheme it up. Make it look good. And that works for so long. But now everybody's seen Salah's defense. Everybody knows Kyle's offense. So this year, you're really going to have to – I hope he's as locked in as you say he is. And he's going to really have to innovate his offense. We can't hide behind the zone run blocking anymore. Everybody does it. Everybody sees it. It's on film. You've been a head coach for almost 10 years now. We know what to expect. Salah, everybody kind of runs a similar off your defense. Your defense isn't ultra complicated. It's the Seattle defense. Because we can't get away from that.
If your whole thing with your quarterback is like, we like Brock, but we don't want him to throw too much because when he throws more than 30 passes a game, we don't win that much. But when he throws less than 30 passes a game, we tend to usually win. Okay, well then you need a really good running game, which they have, and a really good defense, which they don't have anymore. And I don't know. I mean, they seem like they thought they were going to get Dre Greenlaw back. They seem like they tried to get Greenlaw back at the last minute, and now. That's another player they got to draft early, in addition to three defensive linemen.
I get that. I love Dre, but let's be honest with ourselves. Dre ain't what Dre used to be because of that Achilles. We saw Richard Sherman come back. That was basically the outlier. Most people who cut and go side to side, front, back with a bad Achilles, after that, they're not the same. So God bless Dre for getting his money. Good that they made an effort. But let's not forget, Dre Greenlaw was like a 5th-round pick. This wasn't a dude that was a highly touted linebacker out of Arkansas. They just hit on him. Same thing with Fred Warner. So they're good at finding a couple or like 1 or 2 gems in the draft. I will give them credit, but this is not the year you can squander a 1st-round pick. And, it's not going to be easy pick because here's what I think. What if Shadur falls to you and you hadn't signed Brock? Hell, even if you have signed Brock, Shadur is right there. You get a real quarterback who's been in a high-pressure situations. He has a father who has 49er ties. Dion might interfere in other places. He won't interfere here because, hell, he won a Super Bowl here. And on top of that, now you have your long-term solution at quarterback. The whole reason they're going back and forth with this Brock thing because they really don't know how long do you really want to sign him for. Because we know what them parade contracts are going to look like. Oh, yeah, man, 5 years, $250 million and $65 million guaranteed. We can cut you after the first year. So what are you going to do with that pick? There is no clear-cut, go get that guy. You could talk about the Carter guy, cool. I like Cam Ward. I'm a Miami fan, but maybe. Tyler Warren, everybody keeps talking about him. You really want to spend a 1st-round pick on a tight end, even though he might be generational? You want to spend that 1st-round pick on a tight end? Go with best player available, but you got to make sure you hit because we can't have any more McGlincheys. We can't have any more Solomon Thomases, Reuben Fosters. You can't do that this year. You don't have anything to stand back on.
It just seems to me that the Niners have painted themselves in a corner, and you can say take BPA all you want, but like when you have such glaring needs, I don't see how you don't address them. Like you haven't addressed your defense. See, I don't see how you don't go defense in round 1. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to go offense maybe, but you didn't touch your defense. You got Jason Pinnock and Trey Brown, and you know what I mean? Like you didn't even do anything. Who? So a bunch of guys on 1-year deals. So like it seems like you have to go defense in round 1, if not round 2 also. And like I think also whoever you're taking with that pick on defense has to be good against the run. Has to. And like not just good against the run, but like a difference maker against the run. And then you also want some value either as a pass rusher or in coverage, one of the whatever position you're looking at. But like I think is non-negotiable. Has to play defense, has to be a big time contributor against the run. Otherwise, what is different about this team than the one that won 6-11 last year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep hearing what the Will Johnson pick. I mean, I'm not opposed to you drafting a corner, especially a great
I am.
corner like that.
I am. Again, I'm sorry. I like him, but Lenore, Green, like those are starters. You technically just need a number 3 corner, and you have like the worst run defense in football. So, like for example, Mykel Williams. If you want to go defensive end in round 1, Mykel Williams from Georgia is the best run defender of the edge guys. And is he going to be a great pass rusher? Maybe not a great one, but I think he'll be a good one, a good number 2. And if you have him and Bosa on the same team, those are 2 powerful defensive ends who can set an edge. I kind of like that pick. And if you want a defensive tackle, you might have to trade down from that spot. I'm not sure that a defensive tackle is really worth that 11th pick, but I mean, there's guys in round 2.
And that's what I'm thinking, more your run stoppers in the second round, or kind of people who you can plug and play for those situations. Their first round pick can't be, well, yeah, he kind of this, but he's a great this. No, you got to have somebody, if as high as they're picking, they can't do this fits the, no, you have to go best player available. I like Ronaldo Green. I like Green. But even still, if you can get another true outside corner with speed and height and length, kick him in and let him be a slot corner.
Well, what I want to say real quick is if the Niners do get a player like in the front 7, I think it's important that this player needs to not be a one-trick pony in either way. Like,
exactly.
Don't get a nose tackle who gives you nothing on third down, and don't get a player who's a designated pass rusher who gives you nothing on first and second down. Like, Jalen Walker's really interesting, and I think he'd be a hell of a pass rusher on third down. But on first and second down, where is he an asset for your run defense? At the end? No.
What did he really play?
He had like 30 tackles last year. Like, is he a really, you know what I mean? But I think we're drafting him for what he can do against the pass, which is great. But the Niners have to get someone who's like well-rounded, good against both, and great against the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're on the same page when it comes to that. Whatever you get with that first pick, they need to be extraordinary at one thing, but they need to be great at a couple of other things.
Yeah.
We can't just say, all right, cool, he's a speed edge rusher.
No one-trick
ponies. No.
Nope.
But seriously, if Shedeur is there, what you want to do?
Honestly, I think I would just sign Shedeur in like 4 or 5 years once the team that does draft him messes him up. You know what I mean? Like, it won't even be his fault, but that's what happens. Like, I kind of like Mac Jones on a 2-year deal, and I feel like, you could keep Brock on his rookie deal, have 2 quarterbacks for cheap, and then figure it out next year. Although, I just feel like if you really want to compete in 2025, which I don't know if they want to, I don't even know if they care, but if you want to, like, you have a quarterback, you have 2. You really kind of need a defensive line. It's kind of important, but maybe the Niners can invent a new style of football where you don't even play. Instead of a 4-3, it'll be like a 1-7. I think that could a 1-6.
Well, just hear me out. 2 things that I'm gonna let you go. The only reason I say about Shedeur is because Brock, you said you're absolutely correct. We have 2 of the same quarterbacks. Now, you could argue Brock is better than Mac Jones, but we saw Brock with all of that talent.
Right.
We saw him without all of that talent. You saw Mac Jones without talent. You've not seen him with talent. We don't have that same talent. So if your goal is to try and refurbish this mansion that you just had to gut, the floors are great. That's cool. But hey, man, this chandelier got to go. We got to do something different. So if you're going to go that route, you may have to just bite the bullet and say, okay, we're going to suck this year. But hey, we actually got a pedigree quarterback who can throw more than 25 yards. And, it's not a wonder what's going to happen. His elbow is fine. He hadn't broke it 7 times or whatever. So that's really my only kind of iffy thing about it.
Do you think Shedeur is a much better player or prospect coming out of college than Mac Jones was coming out of Alabama?
Yes.
Yes.
See, now you're going to make me keep going. The issue I have with the Shedeur hate was no one was talking about this a year and a half ago. They were talking about how great he was, the fact that he was mentored by Brady. Then all of a sudden, the hit piece came out because Deion started talking. He's not doing anything that Archie Manning wasn't doing or anybody else wasn't doing. But you pick up what I'm putting down if you're looking close enough as to why it came out. So that's why I don't understand. Again, I'm a Miami fan. Cam Ward is awesome. No one was talking about Cam Ward last year until out of nowhere the hit piece on Shador. Well, man, he holds the ball too long. He stands in the pocket too long. Wait. So you want a quarterback that stays back there, diagnoses the situation, and gets the ball down the field and isn't reckless and doesn't turn the ball over and is fearless in the pocket. We pat Brock on the back for that, but Shador, man, he holding the ball too long. Come on, man, make your lie up. Pick your lie. The last thing I was gonna say was as far as Jed York and his money, no one cares about billionaires' money. Stop talking about how much you're spending. Bro, that's literally like saying, man, you ain't gonna believe this. I bought this soccer team and this hockey team and this arena football team. I gotta give up a mansion. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
Times are
People
tough.
are struggling to put gas in their cars, and you're complaining about, man, can't believe I got to pay Brandon Ayuk this $22 million. Stop talking about that, dude. You got fans. Do what's necessary. Just do your job. If you don't want to spend the money, sell the team. It takes money to win. Love you.
Great call, man. Thank you. All right, we got Luis T. Bizzle. Angel, you got to turn your camera on. You could be a weirdo. I don't know you. T. Bizzle. See, now you come across as a weirdo when you put me right underneath your shirt like that, but that's all right.
I can be a weirdo.
All right, man. What's up?
So I was thinking for the longest time, man, position of need for the draft. But I was thinking today, there's maybe 3 positions on our roster that we don't need help at. Like maybe quarterback, probably wouldn't go first round. Probably wouldn't go first round running back. Probably wouldn't go first round tight end. Everywhere else, maybe not.
They don't have a defensive line. They have a defensive lineman.
So you brought up something a couple weeks ago. You were like, you know who I would love for them to sign is Calais Campbell. And I want to point out is you go best player available in the draft every round, maybe even trade back and get a bunch of them, and then you go fill it out in free agency. Because I looked at the remaining free agents available, and there's some names on there.
Yep,
and there are some older names, but at pretty much every position, there are some names on there that could come in and be quality contributors. So I would say go best player available, regardless whether it's like maybe we wouldn't want to go cornerback, but hey, if there's a difference maker at cornerback, take them. Whatever the position is, just get star, Pro Bowl players, football players.
I'm starting to talk myself into Mykel Williams from Georgia. I mean, he fills a need. He's a really good player. He's great against the run. He's got all the tools to be a really good pass rusher. All the Georgia guys are good except for Robert Beal. Compare Mykel Williams to Shamar Stewart. People like Shamar Stewart, went to Texas A&M, tested like Myles Garrett. Good athlete, not a good football player. Didn't do shit in college. Had like 4 sacks and missed a bunch of tackles. Mykel Williams is a legitimate good football player. Was a starting D end as a rookie on a national champion. An elite run defender right now with he's like 20 with potential as a pass rusher. 6'5", long arms. Like, I don't know. It seems like a good pick at 11. I'm cool with Mykel Williams if they take him. I think he's worth the pick.
So I haven't looked into him particularly, or really many of the guys that would be available 11. But from what I've heard, the drop off from those first guys at defensive tackle and edge rusher after that is pretty substantial. And then it's a fairly deep draft at those positions, so that who we could get if we traded back or who we could get in the second might be comparable to who we would draft there at 11.
It's true. I think so. Definitely a defensive tackle. I think the guys available at 43 are going to be like, you could maybe get Kenneth Grant at 43. You might be able to get Derek Harmon at 43. It's a deep draft of defensive tackles. I think they said there's like 25 this year or something. It's a lot. Anyway.
So best player available, but at the same time, we obviously do need defensive line. So if you have 2 players best available, it's a toss-up. One's defensive line, one's tight end. You go with the defensive line. Easy.
Yeah. You need a defensive line to play football. They don't have a defensive line. They got a defensive lineman Bosa's a hell of a player. The rest of the defensive, like we asked Kyle Shanahan today, like who's your starting defensive lineman? And he like it's the one time he got defensive. He was like, you know the names. I'm not going to sit here and go through them. And we're like, no. Seriously,
obvious.
name one
They're
guy.
Yeah. And he says, I'm not going to name
No,
him.
go ahead.
Yeah.
You know the names. No, don't. I really don't.
No, I don't know why they got rid of Malik Collins and Leonard Floyd. I mean, you could say they weren't good against the run. Okay, I guess they weren't, but we had them
better than their backups,
and they were under market value. Their contracts, they got raises immediately. They got raises by other teams, and they were under market value. So I don't know.
I don't exactly understand what the plan is at D line or linebacker. I mean, I can understand saying, look, like Dre is just, we're not betting on Dre to stay healthy. Sure. Then why'd you go running over to Texas to try to change his mind? Like that's where everything looks real weak and wishy-washy.
Oh yeah, they messed that one up.
I mean?
They botched that all to hell. But that's another thing. There could be a very good linebacker available there at number 11. Although I guess he's supposedly more of a pass rusher. Is that what I just heard you guys saying earlier?
Who?
The guy from Georgia?
Michael Williams? No, he's
the
Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker.
They want to move
he's
him
like
to
6'1", 240. So he's not going to be like playing DN full time. But he's a good pass rusher on third down.
Yeah, we want more of a rangy coverage kind of guy.
I mean, he plays inside linebacker on first and second down, but like he wasn't super productive playing that position. I don't know that he ever actually played coverage. I think he was kind of a blitzer. He's a pass rusher. And again, like the Niners had pass rush. Like Leonard Floyd was a good pass rusher last year, but you can't defend the run. In this system, in this front,
I like the idea of taking a safety and moving him. You know, I love safeties playing linebacker.
Yep, Salah's got a good eye for that, man. T Bizzle, go put a shirt on, man. Always good to see you. It's hot in Texas right now, isn't it?
Chicago.
Oh, you're in Chicago. Well, I can't explain it then. Have a good one.
See it.
Chicago. JM617 says has been a member for 23 months. All day, every day. Thank you, JM617. All day, every day. Kim says Niners are schmucks, and I don't mean it in a nice way. JDM408 says, where's the Niners Collective? Been over a month. Brief hiatus. Trying to get it sponsored. Needed to go twice a week. Me and Ashley can, and Chase couldn't. Jesse can. We got to find a fourth person. So if you have, we'll figure it out. Juan Neri says Jed York loves Brock Purdy. I mean, everyone likes Brock Purdy. He's a very sincere, hardworking guy. All day, every day. Kim says, shows you how advanced metrics numbers can lie. Nothing about that offense last year told you upper echelon anything unless you have spreadsheets. I mean, they ran the ball pretty well. I mean, they had some talent on offense last year. Jennings, Mason, Pooney, Purdy. It was better than the defense. It wasn't great. Showtime 2118 says, why did Lombardi throw shade at you again? I don't know. Because I throw shade at him all the time. I had to sit next to him during the interview for Kyle. We actually talked a little bit. Not much, though, because Angel.
Oh, what's up, Grant? What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
Good, doing good. Just real quick, just two things. Or was it one thing? One thing. I know a lot of people out there may be like, oh, Grant's a hater, hates the Niners and all that. No, man, I'm a Niner fan, dude. All that, it's just noise. You know what I mean? What you do is like constructive criticism, you know what I'm saying? And
Thank you.
Honestly, my opinion, I think the Niners need you. They need that constructive criticism. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. I think they need it. I think it brings out the best in anyone.
Oh, yeah, off tops. You know what I mean? All that.
I don't think there's enough of that in their organization. I think they got a bunch of people in their organization that pat each other on the back, at least until this year.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know what I'm saying? So like when people say like, oh, like Grant's just hating on it. No, you're not, bro. There's a bit difference between hating and telling it like it is. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And coming from a Niner fan, you know what I mean? And that's what I just want to say, dude. That's why I tune in to the shows because, Mr. Tell it like it is, and from a Niner fan, that's what you want to see. Raw, uncut, and, just what's best.
Yeah, and I don't have an axe to grind. Like I went there, I spoke to Jed and Kyle off the record at length to really try to build a relationship and understand what they're trying to do from their perspective. And like after talking to them, I really feel like both of them, I don't know if their plan's going to work, but both of them are as serious and locked in as they've been in a while.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, that's good news, so looking forward to it. But, from this upcoming season, honestly, I don't really got high hopes, if we're rebuilding, but high hopes, not so much, but still not.
I think we'll see the best of John Lynch. I think they'll have another good draft. I think we'll see the best of Kyle Shanahan. Robert Saleh will be a nice addition, but their defense is a joke, Angel. And
Yeah.
I think they thought they'd have Greenlaw and or Joey Bosa, and they got a bunch of nothing on defense this offseason. And I think it's like a 2-year project now, and they'll say, well, we got the right coach, but what's he supposed to do with that D-line? I don't know. A lot of rookies.
Yeah, no, that's real talk. That's real talk right there. And I don't know. I feel like Shanahan, I feel like the organization in general focuses more like on players, on what they're doing now instead of what they're going to do, for the future. You know what I mean? Instead of having a plan B, like, in my opinion, I think they should have a backup for the backup. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like.
Yeah. I just thought of something. Jed York said today, like, Brock is a top 10 quarterback when paired with Kyle. So if they give Brock Purdy a long-term extension, that means Kyle's going to be here. Because if you fire Kyle and keep Brock, he could suck. You don't know what he looks like in another system with another quarterback. Maybe the next coach is a defensive coach and it just doesn't work. So that's an interesting one for Kyle. I feel like he should want Brock to get that extension because Brock is an extension of him.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just like real talk. I think someone just said it right now, too. It's kind of like Mac Jones isn't a bad QB. Like he played on a bad team and Brock played on a good team. So it's kind of like you can't really compare. It's like apples and oranges. You can't really compare them.
Yeah. I just think it's going to be like when the Niners traded all that for Trey Lance and it didn't work out, but they're like, it's okay. We got Brock Purdy. Like they're going to give Brock Purdy way too much money and it's not going to work out. But then they'll be like, it's okay. We got Mac Jones and he's cheap.
Yeah. No, real talk.
Yeah.
But no, that
all
was
right,
it,
Angel.
brother. Just want to say, salute and just keep doing Steve right there.
Hey, baby.
You know what I'm
Good
saying?
to see you, man.
Yeah.
How old were you when that picture was taken?
How old was I? I wasn't even born yet, dude.
How old are you?
27. Turned 28.
27. Yeah, that's right. You would have been born a few months after that. I was 7.
Bro, literally as a Niner fan, it's been nothing but heartbreak. 2 Super Bowls appearances and nothing, not there yet. You know what I mean? So I'm still hanging on.
Hang on there.
Thanks
for calling in, man.
Shit, man. He turned into a Cowboy fan. And then a Raider fan.
They suck worse.
And then a Raider fan.
Oh, he likes the worst teams.
I'm telling you, dude. Like, I would go to his house for haircuts. He would have different, like, keychains and lanyards. And I'm just like, what are you doing? I became a Niner fan because of you. And he's actually a Niner fan again. He actually borrowed my Richard Sherman jersey and never returned it.
All right, Angel. Good to see you.
All right, brother, man. Salute.
Take care. Luis, you're next. Then Aeneas. What's up, Luis?
Hey, what's good, Grant? How you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm trying to figure out how you're moving. You're not walking.
Oh, I'm on the scooter. I'm on my way to Bart right now. I gotta take Bart to work.
Scooter. Okay. All right. This feels like a safety hazard, but I'll allow it. Okay. Sure.
No, it's a good safety house.
Okay.
Hey, so I got 2 things I want to get off real quick. Grant, hey, you're doing a tremendous job. Keep doing what you're doing, all right?
Thank you.
If nobody told you yet, you're doing a great job. And
you better not fall. You better not fall. If you fall, I'm feeling personally responsible, man. But I feel like you're really good at scootering.
No, I am. I do this every day.
You do this.
True to
this. Okay, cool.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you, what is your interpretation of how you think the coaches meeting have went these last couple of days since it started?
My interpretation is that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are under pressure, which is not a bad thing. And I feel like Kyle Shanahan showed up at that cocktail party last night, dressed well. He was groomed. Like, sometimes Kyle looks like he just rolled out of the hamper. Other times Kyle Shanahan looks like he spent an hour preparing his outfit. Like he was like slick Kyle. He looked like he's trying to put his best foot forward because his boss is right over there and he's on notice. And so to me, like Jed seems a lot more at ease than Kyle. Kyle and John feel like it. To me, we're acting like guys who are being watched and assessed, which is how it should always be in the NFL. So I think that's a good thing. Brings out the best in everyone.
No, most definitely. The reason why I say that because I don't know if you noticed, but Kyle looks a little different this year. He looks. I don't know. I honestly don't know why. I know there's a lot of pressure as a head coach, and it's most certainly as a play caller because he has like I feel like he has multiple jobs to do, which is fine because I mean we all have multiple jobs to do in life.
He looks
in
a little
general, so.
younger. Like last year, he looked scraggly, tired, exhausted. I understand it. It was a kind of depressing year coming off a Super Bowl loss, but you got to save your job now. You got to turn this around and put this team back in the playoffs. And he has the capability if he's just not like, I don't know. I'm not going to say self-destructive, but like if he's not in his own way and if he's putting his best effort out there, like he's always going to be confident. So that's good.
Oh no, most definitely.
Last year,
I mean, he's obviously a confident coach, and I think in life in general, you need to have that confidence because
he didn't seem that confident last year, man. I don't know who that was last year. That wasn't the Kyle Shanahan that he was just seemed kind of disengaged. I don't know what that was.
To be quite frank with you, Grant, I have a little mixed emotions about Brock getting signed. Brock is a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He has the numbers and everything to prove it. But the only thing that I feel like Grant, to be most honest with you, I don't think he should get paid until he actually wins a Super Bowl. Because the Niners, I feel like every player they do, where they have past performances, they get rewarded for it. And I don't think you should.
I thought what Jed said was interesting. Like Brock's a top 10 quarterback in Kyle's system with these players, so you got to pay him. Like, yeah, but so was Jimmy, right? Like Jimmy had top 10 quarterback numbers. His QBR was high, his quarterback rating was high, his win-loss percentage was good, and it was all a function of everything else. So I just feel like, okay, how many quarterbacks could be quote unquote top 10 quarterbacks in this system with this team? Like, could Mac Jones be a top 10 quarterback? Maybe if Jimmy could. So like, what do you really need to pay for? He's like, well, when you get this type of production, you got to pay for it. It's like Brock hasn't been able to keep it up consistently. Last year was a down year. And we've seen like clear backup quarterbacks put up top 10 numbers in this system. So I don't know.
Grant, can I tell you something? I think any quarterback could be successful with Kyle.
Well, I mean, we've seen that like Trey Lance can't, Brandon Allen can't, but like that's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I feel like to be frank with you, I feel like Trey, he could have had it. The Niners, they just didn't have patience with him.
Even Trey, even Trey never got an opportunity. But like any quarterback who's a starting quarterback or a high level backup is probably going to look pretty good on this team. Andy Dalton would look pretty good on this team. You know what I mean? Like he would look way better than we've ever seen him. And I think that's most quarterbacks.
It's Kyle's scheme, right?
For the pocket quarterbacks, it is. For the mobile quarterbacks, they get hurt. Anyway, Luis.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
You too, man.
I'll join you next time. Have a great day.
All right.
Keep doing your
thing. Have a good one, man. Thanks, man. Aeneas, you're up.
Yo, what's good, Grant? How was the little cocktail party with the 49ers? Did you get to see John Lynch? Did you get to see Kyle Shanahan?
I saw Kyle. I met his wife. I saw Jed. I saw Mike McDaniel. I saw Sean Payton.
Oh, so
I saw Dan Campbell. He's freaking huge. Everyone was there, dude. It's really cool, and they all have their families, and you can't like grill them, and it's just kind of
it's like a little calm, a little environment. You feel me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad they invite you to stuff because you're the real. Like if we like keeping it 1,000, you the real analyst.
Trying. And I feel like, there's no reason for Kyle and Jed to hate me because I hold a mirror up to their organization. That's all I really try to do.
Give your honest takes that the fans really feel.
Yeah. And I think I help engage fans with their team, even when things aren't going on. So I think it was nice to at least break bread a little bit and show each other that we're, have a business relationship.
For sure. I got two things. So, you know how I've been talking about the O-line, D-line in the first round?
Yeah.
What about the cornerback position, Will Johnson or Jahad Byrne? Because if I'm being honest, them probably will be the most safest picks that we could do. Because we did pass up on Cooper DeJean for Ricky Pierce, so I'll never forgive the organization for doing that.
It's true.
I'll never forgive them for doing that. So maybe they want to just get the corner position right, because we do need a third corner. Like, if we really have Trey Brown starting, like.
That's true. And like the last couple of years, the Niners have had two good corners, but then it's like Ambry's the third, or Logan Ryan's the third, or Yadam's the third. So yeah, like if you take a corner round one and he's legit, now you got three guys who can press, play man-to-man coverage. You can blitz. You can put 8 in the box. You can do all kind of stuff.
You can do a whole
I can see it. Hey, if you have 3 great corners, you can load the box and be better against the run that way. And you could take D-line in round 2 and round 3. That's true. They got to get creative one way or another.
Yeah, they got to. And also, like, you know how we talked about like waiting, have Purdy play out this last year because he's still on the rookie deal, and then potentially like franchise tag. I'm so glad the 49ers are actually like listening to the fans on this, because if they really want to keep their job, they cannot just give him the whole bag. Like, are we serious? Like, he just got hurt twice last year.
Yeah.
And his throwing arm is an issue. Like, everybody knows his throwing arm is an issue, but nobody in the mainstream media wants to talk about it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that the Niners think that they're in the driver's seat with the negotiation, that they have all the leverage, and that they can go and say, yeah, we feel confident. We love Brock. He's going to be here. But that's sort of like code saying, like, Brock's going to cave. Brock's going to accept what we offer because he gets hurt. He's coming off a down year, and he's not as good as his agent wants to make him seem, and he knows it.
Yeah,
but maybe the one thing that the Niners have going for him is that Brock eventually will be like, look, agent, thank you so much for trying super hard, but I just want to be here and I want to go to OTAs.
Like, how is he gonna pass up all that money? Because y'all gotta, like, people gotta think in like real life perspective. If he has another 6-11 season, and mind you, the roster's already not as good as it was last year. If he has another 6-11 season, he's going from the 40 to 50 guaranteed that they probably already offered him to 30 Sam Darnold 30s. Like, that's a big, and plus on top of that with the California state tax.
Or worse, I mean, he could be, if he has another losing season and gets hurt again, people could be like, you know what? He's a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
He's a backup, as the league's been exposed to him more, he's sort of turning into Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's different than Jimmy, but like Jimmy,
he's
throw picks. Hurt a lot. You know what I mean?
He'll throw picks during drives.
A quick start to his career, lost in the Super Bowl, and then a gradual fade.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. Like, he might want to take that money now. It'd be great if he bet on himself and said, no. I am a top 5 quarterback, and I'm going to prove it this year. That'd be cool, but there's a lot at stake there.
Nah, because I loved your point when you was talking about it on the Best Show with Lamar Jackson betting on himself. Even though he won an MVP, he still betted on himself to show that he was really a top 5 QB. And I truly hope that Brock Purdy does do that, because it will just help the team get better overall in the future. And I mean, I think he's a good quarterback, but at the $45 to $50 million price range, you have to be a top 2 to 3 quarterback. And that means you have to actually scramble. And
I don't think I'm as nice as Jed and the Niners. Like, my attitude with Brock is like, the only reason to offer him more than 3 years, $100 million is to be nice. Yeah. And to like make him feel good. Which I'm like, I don't care if you're upset with me. Like, 3 years, $100 million is a lot of money. And if you wanted more, you could have beaten the Rams with the season on the freaking line. You could have not thrown 12 picks in the freaking second half last year. Like, there are ways to get that kind of money. You didn't deliver last year. We could franchise tag you. Like, I don't feel like being
more
nice.
Years. We could have Purdy for 3 more years if they really want to string it out, which I think it might not be the best, like, PR for like the franchise, but it is the correct way to win football games in the NFL.
I think so. And I don't think the correct way to do business is to just give away record-setting contracts to players because you're afraid they won't like you if you don't.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And then the last topic. So, you know how a lot of people like on Twitter and stuff been saying that we have been like not, quote unquote, not spending, being cheap. If Purdy gets a $50 million deal, we're back up to top 2 or 3 highest payroll teams this season. So people got to put that into perspective, that the reason
But like, I
why
think what
they're
sucks about
not
it is like
getting
they're
players.
spending not to make the team better, but to keep certain parts of the team together. And they went 6-11 last year, and it's still like you're still waiting to see, you know, how committed are you to contending in 2025?
Yeah, because even when you was interviewing Kyle about a use check, why he got released in 4 days, he tried to make it seem like it was a better, like both sides wanted it.
Yep.
But y'all lost like $3 million, $4 million in dead cap this year. Like it was no advantage of bringing him back. Y'all only
And I
lost.
asked Kyle today, I was like, why did you cut him and re-sign him 4 days later? He's like, oh, it was a financial move. I'm like,
Yeah, that's the
okay,
big
so
argument
how
that
did you
you're talking
benefit
about.
financially from this move? I don't understand.
Y'all took a net loss, and then him saying that Luke Farrell like is one of the better blocking tight ends without even scoring a touchdown, and then it's gonna open Kittle on the routes. How are we gonna do that when we don't have no guards in the middle, and we have like a low, like our center is going down each year.
Also, instead of like spending all this money on a blocking tight end who doesn't catch passes, why don't you just use like a 6th offensive lineman? He's not going to
the
catch
Lions
passes.
do, like the Lions
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. It seems to me that like Kyle Shanahan was maybe the most creative offensive mind in the league for a minute, but that Ben Johnson may have surpassed him and is doing a lot of the things Kyle Shanahan did or does, but better and more effectively. And Kyle needs to sort of like step up, dude. You can't tell me Luke Farrell is going to unlock your freaking offense.
Yeah,
man.
like Luke
What?
Luke is gonna be the X factor of the team.
Stop.
Like, come on.
Stop.
It's just like I feel like people already have like got the like book on his offense, and he just don't change. Like, especially with like the hot reads and stuff. Like, even in the Super Bowl, if you're gonna throw the ball 11 straight times in the third quarter, why are you not letting the quarterback pick his protections so he can protect himself? Why are you depending on the center who's already getting worse game by game, year by year? Like, why are we not just giving Brock Purdy the reins if y'all want to pay him $50+ million?
But last thing, and that guy lets you go. I think the interesting thing about the Niners is this offseason is all about Brock.
Yeah, it is.
But like, whether they're good or bad next year, to me, doesn't have anything to do with Brock. Like,
it doesn't. It literally doesn't.
It has to do with McCaffrey. If McCaffrey is the Christian of 2022 and 2023, this Niners team, at least on offense, is going to be really, really good. Yeah. But if he's not, they're going to be bad. It's him. He's the X factor.
Yeah, because with last thing, and then I know you got more calls, but when we had Christian McCaffrey at his peak, we was averaging 30 a game. As soon as he wasn't there, and we had Jordan Mason, we couldn't score in the red zone. We had one of the worst separations, 17 points a game. Yep. Brock Purdy was having at least a pick or two a game.
Yep. It comes down to the 29-year-old running back who's had a bunch of injuries and had bilateral Achilles tendonitis, went to Germany last year. Like,
for sure.
I think the Niners' attitude is, hey, we're optimistic. This is Christian McCaffrey. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's going to be fine. He's got another good year in him. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe they can speak that into existence, but we'll see. Because if he doesn't, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to draft a running back fairly high this year. I think
because even on the interview he did was seem optimistic about drafting that running back. You know, he does it.
He's like, we do it every year. We do it almost every year. I mean, like every year we go through all of our running backs.
But O-line and D-line last 2 years. And last thing. So
why would you draft O-line when Jake Brendel and Cole McKivitz are really good players? Anyway, keep going.
Who is your official pick for 11? Like, because you know how draft is. Nobody predicted Ricky Pearsall to get drafted. They drafted. So
if they stick at 11, I think they'll go D-end, and I think they'll take the guy from Georgia. I don't think they'll take James Pierce Jr. I think he's a bit of a one-trick pony. I don't think he's much of a run defender, or at least a real impact run defender.
I wouldn't like the Tennessee dude.
Same with Mike Green. I feel like he's a speed rusher and a one-trick pony. Jalen Walker seems like much better against the as a pass rusher than a run defender. I think Mykel Williams, it's either going to be him or Shamar Stewart, and I think Shamar Stewart's the mistake. He's the guy who blew up the combine. He is a great athlete, but he is not a great football player. He's a project. Mykel Williams is a hell of a football player who didn't test off the charts, but neither did Bosa.
Been in the SEC for like a couple years. He's proven and stuff like that. Yep. I like the pick, Grant, for sure.
I like him.
Thanks for taking my call. I'll definitely call in again. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too, man. Great call. You guys are bringing it today. Josh, you're the last call of the day. What's up, Josh? Good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the biggest news that's really hitting me, and I'm actually really happy about it, is that Jake Moody's going to have some competition. Okay.
That was some news today. Kyle Shanahan said they're going to be signing a veteran kicker after the draft to, I guess, compete with Jake Moody. Don't know how that competition would work, but they're going to sign a kicker.
I have no idea how the competition is going to work, but I'm just glad that they're having a competition because to me, I mean, there were a lot of problems with last season, obviously, but I mean, he single-handedly lost us multiple games that literally could have changed the whole course of the season. And honestly, I'm I'm hoping that it's a legitimate competition and that he loses it because he's just honestly, I've never been a fan of him since he's been on the team. It's been really tough. It's been tough to see. He's got the yips.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny is like if they have a competition, it doesn't seem like it would even matter because what if Jake Moody is nailing kicks in practice, that doesn't give you confidence that he's going to nail anything in a game with the littlest bit of pressure. Mental.
No, that's exactly it. A part of me almost wishes that they would either just stick with him or just cut him and sign somebody else because say they put him through a competition and then they keep him and they cut the other guy. He already has low confidence, and then putting him in a competition might just lower his confidence more. I don't know if he's in the position or that maybe he is the type of competitor. Maybe it will push him and make him better, but I could also see the competition just making his confidence go lower, which also would just make him worse.
Okay, let's try to figure out what the Niners are planning to do here. I think they're done with Jake Moody. Yep. But instead of cutting him today, you have a quote-unquote competition, and you tell everyone that he's doing great and he's rising to the occasion, and they have two great kickers, and they have this incredible problem, and you try to trade him. Because obviously, you know, like they spent a third-round pick for him. It's painful to just get nothing for that. Maybe like they got a fourth-round pick for Trey Lance somehow. Yeah. Maybe they think they could get a sixth for Jake Moody, and that would make it seem a little less bad.
I mean, if they got a seventh for Moody, I'd be happy. That if they did that, I would be very happy with that result.
I can't imagine a team would give up a ham sandwich for a kicker with the yips. I mean, why?
I mean, he does have the leg, he does have the strength, but it's like I'll take a guy like Robbie Gould with less strength but more accuracy over him every single time. So
every single time.
I don't know.
And it doesn't seem like he has an issue, like a mechanical issue where he's constantly hooking it. Like he misses left, he misses right. He any kind of way you could miss, he misses.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'd be fine if he was like a Sebastian Janikowski that had all the power and then, you know, would occasionally miss like a 40-yarder just because he's accurate and maybe had a few too many beers before the game. But, you know, Jake Moody, it doesn't seem to – he just seems to just really have kind of the lack of confidence and a little bit of anxiety. I mean, you see it when he's like pacing on the side, it's just in his face. It's just like, and then he comes up and you're just watching the game and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is.
I just feel bad for him and like all the other players who aren't in the 49ers quote unquote core. Because you always hear Jed and Kyle and John talking about like, you know, hey, we still have a great core of players. Like that's 7 to 10 guys. It's 53 players on the team. And you're just sort of disregarding everyone else's like second class players. And so like when he got confronted by Deebo Samuel, that to me is like such a clear indicator of what's wrong with this team. Like Jake could never do that.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not in the core, so you can't do that. Deebo could do whatever he wanted. IU could wear whatever shorts. Trent Williams can throw punches and get ejected from any game that he's had enough of. I mean, and everyone loves him. He can do no wrong, but it's clear that certain players have completely different rules and aren't necessarily being held accountable, which is not what you want on a thing that's supposed to be like the ultimate team sport.
No, I agree. And as far as like them like kind of reloading and rebuilding the team this year in the draft, one of the other things I was thinking would be cool for us to talk about that I thought was interesting that Jed said, and I don't know if a lot of people caught this, but when he was talking about what John Lynch said about how, you know, the 6-win season was terrible and never want to go back to it. But then Jed was like kind of optimistic and was like, yeah, we don't like that. But the good news is we have a great draft pick this year and we can get a great player. And then he said something to the effect of, we can get a great player at 11, or we could go forward or go back.
He also said something else. He was like, you know, I've always, he kind of cut himself off, but he was like, you know, I've always kind of said like, if you're going to be bad, be really bad. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. He's like, let's get the first pick.
Pardon? So you're saying Just
JT
tank if it's going down? Is that why you lost 7 of 8 last year? What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that was
You can't say that as an owner.
gosh. But do you think it's more likely? Because I do not think they're going to stay at 11. Do you think it's more likely they go forward or go back?
Back.
Yeah.
I think they want bodies. And I think it puts pressure on them to move up because you get that wrong.
Yep.
Like you've gotten lots of picks wrong before, you're fired.
Yep, exactly.
You want to like hedge and give yourself as many opportunities to hit the lottery as possible. And I know we kept saying we might trade up. They might. I just think it would be a mistake. And I don't know who you're targeting if you trade up. For who? For who? You're not getting the Abdul Carter. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I honestly would love it if they would trade back, get more picks, increase your odds, increase your chances of.
Hey, you think they take that running back? Genty? Round 1? 11?
If they do that, I'll flip some tables. They need a line.
I mean, again, he looks like a good player, but running backs are a dime a dozen, and you have a defensive lineman. One.
Yeah. No, I've just seen too many undrafted and late round running backs be successful in Kyle's system for me to ever want them to draft a running back in the first 2 rounds. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I don't think they will either. They've been pretty disciplined about taking a guy in round 3 or round 4. And even that's kind of high, but anyway.
Well, I don't think they will trade up, but the only reason in my mind to ever trade up would be if you're going to say we're going to trade Brock and then we're going to trade up for somebody like Shador and we're going to try to get, a good return on our Brock trade. And we're not going to pay him the contract and we're going to go with a young, talented, cheap quarterback. But they're not going to do that. I think they're going to sign Brock and they're probably going to trade back and get more picks and try to reload with young talent and more young.
I think what's funny about it too is I think they're going to tell themselves that they're getting a franchise quarterback for a little bit cheaper than other teams get franchise quarterbacks. Like they're going to say like, no, this Brock contract's a bargain. It's not like Ayuk where we paid top of the market for a guy we didn't really think was top of the market. We're going to get a guy a little bit below top of the market who, at least in our system, can be an MVP candidate. It's like, yeah, but not last year when you start taking away players from him. I don't know if he's going to be that MVP candidate. So I think they're going to regret that contract big time because they're going to figure out that Brock's not significantly materially better than Mac. Not.
Yeah.
Not.
I personally, I love Brock. I'm a big Brock fan, but at the same time, if they gave him the Dak Prescott contract, I would be pretty.
No one would be happy except for Brock.
Yeah, no.
The Niners wouldn't be happy.
Going to do that based off of what I've seen of him and his character and interviews and his faith and all those things. I feel like, obviously his agent is going to do what an agent does. He's going to try to get as much money as possible. But I think at the end of the day, he has a deadline in his mind of when he wants to be on the field with his teammates and wherever they're at that point in the process. I think they'll probably make one final push and he'll probably agree to whatever it is, wherever they're at, whether it's 40, 45, 50, 55, somewhere in that range. And I think he'll just tell his agent, sorry, I want to
try
a lot of money. Like in the grand scheme of things, what is the big difference between 40 million and 50 million a year? I mean, either way, that's generational wealth. The mind change.
I mean, that's what the Niners are going to tell Brock. His agent's going to say something different. I think you're right that's probably how Brock would look at it. And I think the idea of him potentially holding out, like, I don't think he's that confident that he's that much better than Mac Jones, that he can just walk away from the team, give Mac all the starting reps, and that things will be cool. Like, I think he's going to want to hold on to this job and hold on to it by taking all the freaking reps and being there.
No, there's no way he's missing there's no way he'll ever hold out. He'll take whatever it is and he'll just be grateful and he'll just move forward. He's too smart to hold out. He doesn't have the leverage to hold out.
No. Josh, good call, man. Thanks for calling in.
Anytime. Catch you later, bro. Have a great day.
All right, man. Catch you later. I got some more super chats, but first I want to let you guys know that I got a new sponsor this year. I'm back with Prize Picks, baby. I'm back with Prize Picks. And I'm very excited about being back with Prize Picks. So why don't we go to Prize Picks and make some picks? Let's go Warriors, because they're in a playoff push and I am interested in them when they're good, not when they're bad. Is Stephen Curry? There he is. Okay, so they're playing tonight at Memphis. 23.5 points for Stephen Curry. 4.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Do I got my stats for this? These for the rebounds. How about for the point? 23.5 seems low. How about that? Ooh, but he hasn't been hitting it. 13, 23, 17, 20, 28. Interesting. Sup with that? He's been a little hurt, huh? No, I think he's going to go off tonight. Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry, I know. What about Quentin Post? 1.5 3-pointers made. Yeah, this is Quentin Perimeter, not Quentin Post. He needs to change his name. Moses Moody. I like Moses Moody. I think he's a hell of a player. How about rebounds for Moses Moody? 4.5. I don't like him. I don't like him that much. What? Oh, I'm confused. I'm gonna do the little green goblin for more. He's got a little smile on his face. He seems like a nice little goblin. Who else we got? Kuminga. Boy, he's terrible. So bad. 6.5 rebounds plus assists. Oh, what a terrible player. I'm gonna go less. Fewer. All right. Picks must be from at least 2 different teams. Man. Okay. All right. Okay. What about Lakers? They're in California. Hold on. Lakers. What? One Laker. What about LeBron? He's not playing today? Oh, okay. Well, let me just pick a random team. Oh, Giannis, man, he's good. 25.5. Oh, definitely taking that. 25.5 points for Giannis. Oh, easy. All right, those are my picks. $20 to win 880. Yep. Auto accept. Submit the lineup. What's going on, man? What's going on, man? Submit lineup. Lineup submitted. Oh, they want me to join them on Discord? I just got invited to their Discord because they like me that much. That's pretty cool. Hey, and if you sign up for Prize Picks using promo code Cohn, COHN, and put down $5, you win $50. They give you $50, even if you lose. So if you want $50, use promo code Cohn, wager $5, and get 50. Thanks for calling in. Silent says can't possibly improve on Brendel. Showtime 2118 says you and David have a shot of tequila last night. No, I did. Don Julio, it's free. All day, every day. Kim says you think Kyle and John could handle East Coast media. I mean, we already saw the Shanahans try to deal with Washington media. It didn't go so well. So I don't know. Anyway, that's the show. Thanks for watching. I'll be back when you least expect it.